Hi everyone, welcome back to another Authenticity Life Coaching video blog. I'm super excited to be here today to be sharing with you another video blog. In today's video blog, I wanted to talk about healing our emotional wounds with the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is something that you may or may not have heard of, but in the work that I do with people, I find that using the subconscious mind and understanding the relationship between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind and how these different mechanisms of our mind work to be very important, to be very significant, especially when we are trying to create change, transformation in our life. Because unless we understand how change takes place, it's very difficult for us to be able to embody that change, for that change to actually happen in our life. And so many of the people I work with, and myself included, have asked the question, why is it so difficult to create change, to create change in my relationships, to create change in my work situation, my career, to create change in my financial situation, to create change in my mental health and well-being? And the answer I always give them is, the short version is that it has to do with the subconscious mind. Okay, because the subconscious mind, if we think about it, the subconscious mind and how it works, 95% of who you are by the time you're an adult is your subconscious mind, your subconscious programs, your patterns, and basically everything that has happened up until that point, that is your subconscious programming. And that's 95% of who you are. Now, if you think about that, 95% is a lot. It's a lot of, you when you think about it. Now, the other 5% is obviously made up by the conscious mind. The conscious mind, is that part of us that is, can shine the light of conscious awareness on one or two things at once. Okay, so, and the conscious mind is like the librarian, and the subconscious mind is like the library. It's full of all that stored information, all those books of, stored information of everything that's happened in your past, your patterns, your habits. And it's also the storehouse for a lot of involuntary, non-conscious activities, like your heart beats. Your heart is a subconscious, it's part of your subconscious mind. Your heart beats without you having to think about it. You breathe without really having to think about it. Like you go to sleep at night, your body keeps breathing overnight, and you wake up in the morning, and breathing is a subconscious part of your mind. It's a subconscious, it's below the level of conscious awareness. You don't need to consciously focus on your breathing in order to breathe. You don't need to consciously focus on beating your heart in order for it to beat. There's a lot of involuntary or subconscious things that happen in your body, like your autonomic nervous system, blood pressure, and all these different activities in your body that are taking place. Even your cells healing and your immune system. There's a lot of, your body is basically an orchestration of so many different processes and billions of cells all working in unison to create the whole of you. Now, when you think about that, that's really quite an amazing thing to think about, that your body, there's so much more to you than what we sometimes think. We sometimes limit ourselves to this very small, limited, contracted version of who we are. So when we're going into looking at healing the wounds from the past, emotional wounds in particular, we need to understand how the subconscious mind works, because in my experience, in my own healing journey and in working with lots of people, is that we don't create change, we don't heal unless we are able to access that level of healing on a subconscious level, okay, on the level of our subconscious mind. Okay, so now I've drawn this diagram here to represent, this is a very common diagram, but I love this as a metaphor for the subconscious and the conscious mind. We have the conscious mind, this is a big iceberg. And at the top here you have the conscious mind, which is this little tiny bit of the iceberg that is visible above the water. And then you have the subconscious mind, which is this vast, that other 95% of who we are, which is below the surface of conscious awareness, which means it's somewhat invisible to us consciously unless we start shining the light of conscious awareness to look. So as far as healing goes, the reason that we have to create change on a subconscious level is because our subconscious mind is also our pattern mind. It's our habit mind. Okay, so it's where our programming is stored. Okay, now there's a couple of different ways that our programming is created. When we're children, we are predominantly in theta brainwaves. Theta and alpha are in very receptive states of being. And in these receptive states of being, our subconscious is like wide open. It's like it's taking all that information in. And then a funny thing happens around the age of 11 or 12, where we move out of theta and we go into low-range beta brainwaves. And when we do that, it kind of like closes off our subconscious to some degree, and we're not as receptive and open to the programming of our environment. Okay, and this is really important to understand, is a lot of our subconscious programming comes from our environment, our childhood environment, influential experiences that happen, traumatic experiences, really positive experiences, and just the whole picture of what's happened is what creates our subconscious programming. And that includes how we react under stress, how our stress response, how we respond in stress, fight, flight, freeze, all those different stress responses that we have. The way that we meet our human needs, most importantly, becomes a subconscious program. And a lot of this is created through the relationship dynamics that we have throughout our childhood. They really strongly influence how we meet our human needs. Did our parents, when we were distressed, did they comfort us? Did they reprimand us? Did they criticize us? What did they do? And how did they affect our ability to meet our human needs? And how did they affect our ability to know that we can meet our human needs, or that we can self-regulate, or that we can, move through stress and adversity and have support? There's so many different things on different levels, particularly when we look at human needs, that happen in our childhood that influence our blueprint, if you will, of our beliefs and our programming from that time onwards into our adulthood. And again, by the time we're in our adulthood, we are very much, that subconscious programming is very much set, unless we learn how to re-access the subconscious mind, get back in and become more aware of those programs and what's happened in the past, and use our awareness to penetrate the subconscious mind and heal the emotional wounds of the past. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how we can use the subconscious mind, how we can access the subconscious mind, how we can use the subconscious mind to not only become aware of our emotional wounds that are holding us back in life, that are triggering us, that are keeping us stuck in those patterns of stress, on that treadmill, and that's in that cycle of stress, and where we feel like we just can't function. Not only am I going to show you how to become conscious and how to access the subconscious mind, I'm going to show you and explain to you some of the key things that I've found in my journey and with working with people that help people to heal on a subconscious level energetically. Now, when we think about it, if we look at the subconscious mind, we have to be able to, access things at a level of energy, because energy is what governs everything. Energy governs our body, it governs our mind, it governs the whole universe. Okay, so if we get down to the level of a deep energetic level, and we access our subconscious mind at that level of energy, and we change that energy at a deep subconscious level, we are guaranteed to create change in everything else, because if we change our energy, we change our state. If we change our state, we change so many different things, not only in our body, but in our perception, and how we perceive the world, how we experience the world. And so many things can happen when we create change at a deep level of energy. Now, there are probably more than two, but there are two main things that really create strong programming subconsciously. And those states are fear. Okay, so fear, anger. Okay, there's probably more than two. Fear, anger, gratitude, and love. Joy. Any heightened state has the capacity to deeply and indelibly hardwire something into the subconscious mind and create change, because they're heightened states of awareness. Okay, now most of the time, the only heightened state of awareness we often experience when we're in stress is fear. Okay, being on adrenaline, being stressed, all those things. Or anger. Anger is, being angry at somebody, defensive, reactive. Okay, now obviously guilt and shame can fall under those emotions, but any emotion that has a really deep intensity to it has a very deep subconscious energetic effect when we feel it. And it has it very much has a strong and very powerful ability to rewire our brain neurologically and our body energetically to a new state of energy. And this can happen consciously or it can happen unconsciously, and it doesn't really matter, because the subconscious mind doesn't differentiate. It has the patterns and the programs that we have, and it's when we get into stress, it goes, okay, this is a program for stress, burp, plugs it in, unless there is some sort of intervention from the conscious mind. Okay, unless the conscious mind is aware enough and can become conscious of that program enough to intervene and to replace that program with something different, with a new program. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in this. So we have to be able to become conscious of our programming in order for us to be able to change it. Okay, so awareness is the first step. So I'm going to turn this over. So step number one is awareness. Okay, in order to heal our emotional wounds on a subconscious level, we have to become conscious of the fact that we do have an emotional wound, and we have to become conscious of the subconscious programming and the beliefs. We have to become conscious of the fear, guilt, shame, and anger and resentment, or any other emotion that is keeping us stuck in the past and keeping us stuck in that old program that is no longer serving our life. It's preventing us from expressing our authentic feelings and values and expressing our authentic self in life. It's stopping us from, it may be stopping us from having the relationship we love to have. It may be preventing us from having the career we love to have. It may be stopping us on all different levels. Maybe it's affecting our physical and mental health. And so whatever program that is, we have to become conscious of. We have to shine the light of conscious awareness on that habit so that it becomes very clear to us that what that habit is. And when we get triggered by that, we get stuck in that habit. When we get triggered by it, what are the environmental triggers? Is it a work colleague? Is it our spouse or partner? Is it a family member? Is it a certain situation? Becoming very conscious of what is triggering you in your environment so you can get more specific about what those triggers are, those emotional triggers in your environment, in the way someone acts toward you, the way someone behaves, the way you act, the way you behave, because that's all really important and valuable information that's going to give you insight into your inner world and your subconscious programming. Okay, and the more you develop a deeper awareness of that, and the more conscious you become of all facets of that, the emotions, the programs, the subconscious beliefs, and maybe some of the past experiences as well. So this also means developing awareness of the past experiences that you have had in your childhood and early experiences all the way up into your adulthood that have significantly caused you to make key decisions and create core beliefs about who you are, how you fit in the world, how you experience life and all those different things, because that awareness is so important. It's so important to understand why you get triggered by those things. Why? What is the past experience, the memory that is sitting there subconsciously that may need you to become more conscious of? Okay, so you have to become conscious, and conscious awareness is the first step. Okay, step number 2 is healing. Okay, now healing, there are so many different ways that we can heal. Once we become deeply aware of our subconscious programming, there are so many different ways that can empower us to heal and change that deeply held subconscious program. Okay, there are so many different levels and ways that we can do that. Here are just a few that I find which are key that I found in my experience in working with people. So love and gratitude and appreciation. Okay, so love and gratitude has an energy to it, a level of energy that it deeply permeates your subconscious mind. So when we're in a state of love and gratitude, if we have a past experience that is, really, that was really painful, and it caused us to adopt all these patterns and beliefs about our current situation that's sabotaging our life. If we can go back and in a state of love and gratitude and generate a state of love and gratitude around that experience, see it from a perspective that allows us to love ourselves in that experience. Okay, sometimes through doing inner child work, that can be a really powerful way of just integrating and loving that younger version of yourself that needs to be heard, needs to be felt, needs to be loved fully and understood and witnessed from this place of gratitude. Because gratitude and love is a high frequency. It's a very high frequency, and it's a much higher frequency than fear and guilt and shame. So when we can penetrate those emotional wounds with love and gratitude, when we can really feel love and gratitude for those things that happen to us and find a way to love ourselves through that. And if we can find the gifts from those experiences, how they served us in our life. So like a personal example for me is that I had a lot of shame and a lot of fear around expressing my vulnerabilities as a man. Vulnerability was seen as weakness. I grew up with a very masculine father that tried to get the vulnerability out of me and wanted me to be tough and strong so nobody could hurt me. And so therefore I buried my vulnerability. I didn't share my emotions. I didn't share when I felt down or bad. And it caused me to shut myself down, and I wasn't able to be authentic. And it caused me to develop depression and anxiety, and on so many levels I just didn't know how to fit in. I was trying really hard because I didn't feel authentic. And so that subconscious wound that I had around expressing myself vulnerably, around expressing my feelings, ironically became when I was able to love myself and heal the pain of the past, when I was able to see the gifts of those past experiences and see how my past experiences of emotional pain were the very thing that catalyzed me to learn so much about my spiritual journey and my mental emotional health, to really love psychology, and to love learning about it, to love all the insights, and to love sharing that and serving others and helping other people with that. It became my greatest strength and my gift because of these experiences. If I didn't have those experiences, I would not have sought after, and learned and had the drive and the determination and the love for what I do. And so finding those gifts, in my experience and working with people, is such a powerful thing. When we can find how those past experiences served us and we find enough gifts and benefits, we can dissolve the pain of the past, and we can cover our past in love and gratitude. And when we do that, we are healing ourselves on a deep subconscious level. And that deep subconscious level of healing it has a lasting effect, and it becomes our new default subconscious programming. Okay, and when our subconscious mind doesn't have that trigger anymore, then the external environment shows up differently because we perceive it differently. We're not triggered by it anymore. We don't feel the pain around that. The wound is dissolved, and again, we're able to transcend the pain of the past in that moment. And that's essentially what we're doing here by using love and gratitude to find the gifts and to see the higher purpose of all of our experiences and our past experiences in our life. Okay, and so the other way that we can create healing is through inner child work, and I just talked about that before, but inner child work I found is very powerful as well. Visiting ourselves at the different ages where we experience painful experiences and asking our inner child what that child needs to feel safe, what that child needs to feel loved and accepted and cared for. Having that dialogue with that inner child, I found it to be really powerful in the processes that I take clients through and in my own journey of doing inner child journey meditations. Really, really powerful. Now there's lots of different inner child journey meditations you can do. I have some of them my own that I've developed. But the most simple one is just to have to go back in time to go to that child at whatever age they are. Let them talk to you and tell you what age they are. Have a dialogue with them okay? And let them share with you what they need to feel loved, to feel accepted, to feel whole, to feel nurtured, because it's very interesting when you let that inner child speak, what they say. You know, it's so beautiful. I've always found it to be amazing. So that's another thing you can do. So the last thing I want to say before I close is that it is a journey, okay? Don't expect, to do one, to work on one pattern, to go back into one past experience, to heal that, and for everything else to be better. It's layers of, subconscious programs we have to get through, and it takes time and it takes a consistent, disciplined effort to really get to those deeper layers and heal those deeper layers of subconscious programming, and to move through that. And there are always new levels and new challenges around healing that keep you growing and learning. So remember, it's a journey, it's not a destination. So just keep working on it, keep doing it. Create habits around your emotional triggers. When you feel emotional wounds come up and you feel triggered, create habits, positive habits and processes like the one I've given you here to help yourself whenever you feel the need, whenever you feel triggered or emotional, and like the past is getting in the way. You can go back through these processes and use it as a doorway to go in, to find out what's going on, to heal the pain of the past, and to create transformation. Okay, so it is a journey. And the last step, obviously, is transformation. Okay, so I want to talk about transformation here, because this is, once we've created the healing, we need to think about how do we create, what's the next step from there? And the next step, like I said, is that, creating good rituals around, becoming more and more conscious of those deeper layers of subconscious programming and emotional wounds that are being triggered from our past. Okay, developing more awareness around that. And then from there forward, to create the transformation, we have to, start thinking about expressing and owning your authentic values and needs. Okay, so when we heal something, and subconsciously, it's going to automatically start creating changes. But what we also need to think about is we also have to be conscious of what we do from there on forward. Okay, so the way to act on that, to compound and to help that energy, give that energy momentum, is to continue expressing and owning your authentic values and needs. Now, when you think about it, when we have, emotional triggers or emotional pain from the past that triggers something in us that keeps us stuck in those cycles of stress, and it prevents us from being able to love someone genuinely and openly, and it prevents us from being able to maybe experience life on a deeper level. It prevents us from experiencing gratitude and love and joy and so many other things. When that happens, we have to go through these processes to be able to reawaken and heal the pain of the past, to become aware of it, to heal through those different processes. But then we have to think about, what is the lesson behind that, that experience? When we love the past and we heal the past, what is the lesson within that? Okay, what is that lesson trying to direct us towards? Okay, so when we understand that, then we know from that moment forwards that we're going to show up in a different way. Okay, we're going to express our authentic self more fully. Because so often when we get triggered like that, we're actually burying our authentic needs and feelings, and we can't see that, we can't feel that, we can't express it through our senses. So we need to be able to, to create transformation, we need to make a habit of expressing and owning our authentic values, needs, and feelings from that day forward. To continue doing that, because it's going to generate a bigger level of energy and support around the healing that's already taken place, if that makes sense. Okay. So again, and the next thing I've talked about here is you're going to be designing your life around your authentic needs and values. So what I want you to think about doing is, now that you are more conscious of what your authentic values, needs, and feelings are, how do you design your life in such a way that you're expressing your authentic needs and values every day as part of your life? It becomes your life is shaped around that. That is the core of your life. And if you do that, that's going to give that change even more momentum. It's going to give it more power, more, just more significance. It's going to really amplify that for you. because you're living it now, because it's your day-to-day routine, it's your life. Okay, so I hope that helps you. Please like and share below. Let's start a discussion. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on this. I'm really excited to be sharing this work with you, and I hope you benefited from it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next video. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.